it's Jen Suzuki, and I'm in the industry. I meet some of the greatest leaders out there, dealer execs, dealers, GMs, and I'm bringing them in the studio to talk to me about what's making their business pop, what's accelerating their growth. I'm sharing my own personal strategies for your sales teams, so I'm ready to get after it. Are you? Welcome back, listeners. I have Andy Wright. He's the managing partner of Vinart Dealerships. You've heard him, you've seen him on LinkedIn, social media. I really like this guy because he's so willing to share and he's so willing to entertain just about any conversation. And I just enjoy hearing him talk publicly about the current trends and things that are evolving. And he's just got his hands in a lot of different places, all with the intention of leveling up and improving his own operations. This is Lehigh Valley, Acura, Honda, Hyundai, Mercedes-Benz, even Porsche, my favorite. I'm a little biased. Welcome, Andy.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be on here. I follow what you do. I admire what you do. And I think it's great that you're doing this podcast. So again, happy to be here.
Thank you so much for saying that. I really, and I do have a lot of people like in the same come up as you. You know, you've had a lot of different roles and now managing partner, and it's just outstanding. I love the inspiration of anybody in our business that's found their way up. I started off in car sales, and, I always just is near and dear to me to hear of people's, hustle and, just want for better, bigger, more things out there. The service department is what I want to dial into today. That's really been the heart of the
big part of the business, right? I mean, big part of the business, getting bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, I know you've been focused on both service and sales and improving customer experience and leveraging technologies, leveraging AI to drive results. I feel free to lean in on any of these moments,
Sure.
In our conversation today, because I really it's really I'm actually super curious to hear.
Yeah,
Spit
sure.
it out, Jen. What are your biggest challenges in service right now?
Yeah, I'd say right now the biggest challenge we're facing is just sort of having some consistency in the cadence of customer traffic that we're seeing in all of our stores. So it's a little bit of a roller coaster right now, depending on a variety of different factors. And what that's leading to, what that's contributing to is, sometimes our team members get a little bit uncomfortable with that inconsistency, and they think, oh my God, the sky is falling in one moment, right?
Okay.
And then in the next moment, it's like, how are we going to handle all this business? So it's, if there was anything that I wish I could point to as something that's posing a challenge right now, it sort of is the consistency, the cadence of business. And of course, Jen, I'm here in the Northeast. I'm in Eastern Pennsylvania, about an hour north of Philadelphia and about an hour west of New York City. So we have to contend with winter. And after a couple benign years of old man winter, we had a pretty tough winter this year.
Yes.
In terms of really cold temperatures and some snow that we didn't have to deal with the last couple of years coming out of the COVID pandemic time frame. So that sort of contributed to some of the angst. And then, of course, with all the talk about tariffs and the impact that tariffs are having on people's willingness to buy new cars, for those customers that it's kind of taken out of the market, it's brought back into the market in a much more meaningful way for after sales, for parts and service. So really trying to deal with that. And, I know a lot of people love to talk about technicians and technician shortages and things like that. And listen, we're not immune to that either, but I will say that I feel like we've done perhaps a little bit better job than the average dealer in managing that via our apprentice program that we operate in-house, that we devised and operate in-house. And that's been a nice sort of feeder system for us, for technicians. And then of course we turn our eye towards the service advisor, which in my opinion is the most important position in the dealership, because when you get right down to it, who is talking to talking to more paying customers on a daily basis than a service advisor?
Yeah.
It's
really tasked with loyalty. I mean, this is, you've already sold the car. They're here. How do we keep them?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, we're constantly looking at ways to evolve so that we can take some of the pressure and burden off of service advisors, especially when it comes to administrative tasks. And so they can focus on the customer experience, making sure that they are providing all the information to customers so they can make informed decisions about their vehicle, their vehicle's health, their vehicle's care, things like that. And I think that I know that if we can do that, then that just positions us much better going forward to retain and attract new clients. So I'll give you a couple prime examples if you want. Talk about some things we've done. So first and foremost, several years ago, we took all appointment making responsibility off of the service advisor. So we have 5 stores, as you mentioned earlier, right?
Yes.
We have a centralized call center that handles all inbound and outbound appointment making responsibilities.
Great.
They fill the schedule. They control the schedule. I love my service advisors, but I think if left to their own devices, they would probably not schedule out any appointments after pick a date and a time in the afternoon, if you know what I mean.
Let me ask you something real quick. What do you think is the sweet spot for average ROs per advisor in order to do a really good job?
Yeah. So I mean, listen, I used to think it's 12 to 15. I'm a big believer that number is probably 18 now, if not closer to 20. Okay. And the reason I say that is because we are providing some support mechanisms that can contribute to a service advisor being more efficient. If I had service
the BDC coming in and fielding some of the calls that were weighing them down. Right.
Okay. So when I look at taking appointments off of them, for example, that was a big help.
I love
it. We recently implemented a pre-write process in our stores.
Okay.
So I have a team of people whose responsibility is to log into our DMS system, usually 3 days out. They're looking at, 72 days.
Sorry, pause. This is not your advisor. You have a team of people that are helping assist the advisor on a pre-write.
Correct. Yeah.
This is so innovative. I really like this, Andy.
Yeah. So
I'm
they're
a big
going
believer in this.
Yeah. They're going in, they're looking at the appointments. They're doing a couple of things. They're making sure, number one, that we don't have any duplicate records for that client. If they are, they're merging them. It starts there, right? We've got to have a good customer record with good contact information that the service advisor still is responsible for verifying in person, but we do everything we can to do as much of that up front. So that's a big part of it. We want to make sure that all of the information that the customer gave to the appointment agent, either over the phone or gave to our online scheduler, is accurate, right? We got to make sure we're dealing with accurate information. Certainly, we want to be mindful of any time and mileage-based services that the customer might be eligible for. I mean, when you get right down to it, it shouldn't be incumbent upon a service advisor to necessarily do that research or that homework with the customer standing in front of them. We want the customer record, the appointment record, to be as complete as possible. Yes. So the moment that customer walks in the service drive,
boom, we know who you are.
Literally is the service advisor greeting them, making sure that we're capturing the correct mileage in. In Pennsylvania, we have state inspections, so we want to make sure we verify that state inspection badge. And then lastly, we want to confirm what the customer's coming in for and get them to their alternative form of transportation if they're not waiting. So the quicker we can get them through the write-up process, the quicker we can get that car into the shop. And now we're starting to dabble with a triage process, if you will, that will expedite the car getting in for the complimentary multi-point inspection that has become such a vital part of our service delivery, because we want to make sure, again, customers have all the information they need to make informed decisions, and that we are giving them transparent information about the condition of their vehicle. So we want the MPI done. We want the MPI video done. And we want it delivered to the customer as quickly as possible. So, all these things used to be the responsibilities of service advisors when they would make appointments. They would have to verify all this information. So we just felt like it was wise for us to leverage our scale, our size and our scale, to implement the different forms of support personnel that can take some of that pressure off the service advisor, so they can deliver that elevated customer experience.
Understood. And
at check-in time and then throughout the process.
Okay. So throughout the process, so cars checked in, reports going on, videos being shot. I'm looking for the efficiencies in that model where you're able to sort of change the benchmark from 12 to 15 to 18 plus. I'm looking for these. So we've targeted a couple here. Does the advisor send the video?
The advisors, it depends on our stores. So at our Porsche store, our service advisor team there goes to great lengths to curate that video because they usually are more in-depth video
So it's not the technician. You have a team of people that are doing the video for the technician.
No. The technician is doing the video. They are still doing the video. But we want to make sure that in our Porsche store, where the repairs and even the maintenance items tend to be a little bit more intricate, that we're getting a complete picture, again, in the spirit of transparency and completeness, diligence. We think that's obviously, it's important everywhere. It's really important with our Porsche clients who go to painstaking lengths, just like we do, to make sure their cars are in optimal condition, right? But at a place like our Honda store, where it's 80% maintenance work, those videos are being produced by our technicians. And once the MPI is completed with parts pricing and everything, it automatically goes to the customer.
Okay. And then your service advisor, are they making the call to review the inspection report to the customer?
Absolutely. They absolutely are. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
then do they have to?
Go ahead.
Do they have to do their own exits? Do they do the car wash? Do they do the delivery back, the exit?
So when the car is ultimately through the repair process, we have a porter team, a lot operations team is what I refer to them as, who will run the car through our commercial grade mechanized car wash. We do hand washing at our Mercedes-Benz and Porsche location as well. And then once that car is complete, the active delivery is 100% performed either in person or over the phone by the service advisor.
Okay.
We use Tekion in all of our stores, so we have a completely holistic ecosystem in our after sales operations that Tekion facilitates. So we can even administer the payment process through Tekion Pay, and customers literally just coming in and picking up their keys. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And just sort of going back to something you had said originally, you're just like, there's this momentum. It's high and low. It's busy. It's slow. It's busy. It's slow. It's hard to keep the mentality consistent. And so in thinking about that, because I think that can impact a person's mentality and their drive for the day and even going into the next day. So how do you dial into that and try to, do you focus on consistent performance? How do you do that? I think a lot of people struggle with this, and you want to make sure that people are coming into job in the right frame of mind, they're customer facing. This is, as you mentioned, probably the most important role in the dealership. We want them feeling, a bit enthusiastic, which is another podcast. But, so how do you create consistent performance with the highs and lows?
So several years ago, we devised, at the time, it was a manual process for creating salesperson and technician scorecards. So those scorecards really consist of 3 different areas that we're assessing. Obviously, we're assessing leading indicators, indicators that are indicative of how their performance will ultimately manifest itself. The lagging indicators, which are obviously very much transactional in nature. And then the third part, we kind of lump together CSI and training, because we want to make sure that obviously customer satisfaction is at the forefront of everything we do. And the only way that we can fulfill our service promise to our customers is by making sure that our team members are fully trained, always at the forefront of what is contemporary and most progressive in terms of service delivery in our industry. And so we invest a lot in that. We invest a lot in that, not only with our OEM partners, in conjunction with our OEM partners' investments, but also through some private services that we employ and we feel very strongly about.
I find it so difficult with advisors. They're busier than the sales team in general. Do you know what I mean? Like you can pull the salespeople off the floor and really dial into product training, walk-arounds, sales process, paperwork, but then when it comes to the service advisors, and I have found even in the past that even for me, I tend to lean more in on the sales department than the service, because they seem to have more time to do that. So how do you find the time to get service advisors together to actually help them level up their performance or dial into a new process? Some of my and I struggle with this personally. It's when your shop is busy, it's of course that it's tough to get people together. So how does that work for you?
Well, number one, we're very intentional about scheduling monthly training sessions with our service advisors on a range of topics.
No matter what.
Correct. Yeah. And we try to stagger participation. Again, we're we're leveraging our size across all 5 of our stores. We're blessed that all 5 of our stores are right in a row, so we can pretty much walk to all the locations.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I invested in a state-of-the-art training center. We can have up to 50 people together in the same room doing, in-person or fully online video training, the whole 9 yards. So we have many capabilities that we have built and incorporated into our process. So we have that scheduled training on a monthly basis. But then we really lean on our service leadership team to make sure that on a weekly basis, they are engaged in observation work to ensure that, again, we have consistency in our service delivery. And they literally have a check sheet of things that they're looking for out of our advisors, out of our porter teams, our lot operation teams, and out of our tech teams, so that, again, it's all about training and repetition, right? It's all about repetition, probably more than anything. And so it's important that we reinforce that through a robust process of observation. So if the service managers and service leadership team, drive managers, whatever people have in their store, depending on size, if they don't take ownership of that, it's going to be very difficult to breed consistency. Because otherwise then, the trainer comes in once a month, everybody's all charged up about it, and before you know it, it's kind of in one ear out the other.
Right.
Although I'm probably preaching to the choir on that one.
Yeah. Well, this is why first off, for me, I find it challenging to even block off the time on a consistent basis with the service teams that I work with. And I think that you're right with that mentality. It's like, no matter what is happening, the world's coming to an end, we're still doing our meeting. They know that we're doing this. You can make the accommodations and plan for it so that it's very consistent, and it's a planned date and time. I really like this. I find the after hours becomes the time where I can get, so here's what happens when I do it during the day. Or I even notice other managers trying to hold stuff like this during the day. The people are coming in and out, they're in and out. They got customers. You still want to see those tickets get closed out. You got customers, heat's building. We got to put the guy back in the game. And then it dilutes the focus. I find that after hours, once a week is what I've been doing. And even my teams, I'm looking for, new ideas, is like, well, once a week after hours, buy everybody pizzas. Now you've got people's attention.
Yeah.
But tell me, do you do it during the day?
We do. Jen, we do both. I mean, hey, listen, I think you have to have an all of the above approach, right? You have to have an all of the above approach. I think that to sort of hitch your wagon to, just one way, shape, or form of doing things really limits your ability to grow. So, and listen, I mean, we have training sessions and coaching sessions that are really good and productive, and people walk out of feeling fulfilled.
Yeah.
And I've taken part in some where it just, it sort of lacked the impact, if you will, that we were looking for.
Real.
So we try to take small bites rather than try to bite off a whole bunch of things at once that it's hard to retain. It's hard to expect them to follow something that was part of a big package of training, if you will. So we try to break it down into bite-sized pieces.
I mean, that's real. And look, people only have an attention span for so much, when you target an area. And here's the thing, what I really like about what you're saying. I can tell you're very professional. You're very organized organization because you're doing this. This says I care about people. This says we're consistent about our expectations and our processes. There's also scorecard for not only accountability, but it's to help people thrive in your environment. So we're always trying to battle, lowering turnover. And I feel like you're nurturing people's success with all of the pieces to that puzzle that you just gave us. And at the same time,
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree 100%. I mean, that's well said. I mean, that I don't know any other way to do it. I mean,
well, then people don't do it. What they do, Andy, is they do it reactively. So I notice a lot of service directors, service managers, especially the really great ones. I mean, these guys they're not playing games, throughout the day. They have high expectations of people. Yeah. So I understand.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think there's a big difference between leading and managing, and I think
agreed.
This issue speaks to that topic.
And here's what happens. It's very reactive, and it's like hard for people to learn under pressure. And it's hard for people to actually learn and grow when they feel like they've done something wrong.
Agreed. 100%. No,
and
I agree.
They
100%.
call that training.
Yep.
And coaching.
Yep. Listen, everything rises and falls with leadership, Jen. That's a big belief of mine. And if leadership of the department, of the store, of the company is not fully committed to growing, developing, and investing in their people, then it's just not going to happen. And that's really all there is to it. And so I think where a lot of my fellow dealer colleagues probably fall short or get frustrated is because they go out, they hire a trainer, they check a box, and they think, okay, we've done.
They're going to solve all the problems.
It doesn't work that way. As I tell people all the time, when our outside trainers come in, it's not about what happens when they're here. It's what happens when they're not here.
That's a fact. And, I always tell even my own leadership and managers, I say, this training isn't about the advisors. It's not about the technicians. It's not about your lane managers. It's not even about your salespeople. It's really about your managers that are day to day with this team, because they need to learn new ideas and they need to learn new ways to coach and train and keep things interesting and keep the momentum going. And they've got to be the ones that are executing the changes that they were learning during training. It's not really about our front line. It's about, the people that are really there to support people, their growth, and ensure that things get executed. But and it's kind of going back to this thought of efficiencies. Surely there's been some AI that's been injected into your service department, and I feel that AI, is still relatively brand new. Year before last NADA, it was the big thing. I don't foresee that changing. But what happened was, is that ChatGPT, OpenAI, all these things came about, and everybody latched it onto the product. And now I'm an AI system, and it was a little congested, a lot of noise there. And I think that things are ironing out. But look, it's still new at the end of the day. And here's what I have found is that a lot of leaders, they'll try something new. I think the best leaders, they're willing to be like, let's go, give it a shot. Yeah. When it stops working and it's not working the way that, you were sold it, or that, it's supposed to work, because that's the real, it's just, we're still infancy stages. They want to bail. And I say to them all the time, you can't bail. You need to stay in the game, and you need to help them get to where you need it to be, because it's still evolving. The equations, all the tech behind it, the formulas, algorithms, it's all changing, and it's throwing these vendors off. But so that was a long-winded story, but I'm an advocate of getting involved in AI, no matter if it's fully functional or not. I think we need to be forgiving. But tell me what your insights are on AI. What is working? What are you using that's creating more efficiencies for your service team members?
Yeah. So I fully expect AI to play a much more formidable, substantial role in our industry in the coming years. I think that, to your point earlier, a lot of the solutions that are out there currently in the marketplace that have been billed as AI, right, really are more AI light than they are full AI, right? Yeah. So we've dabbled with some AI tools on the sales side of the house. We are considering some options on the service side of the house. Techion has a new AI system that they're going to be rolling out that we expect. Where
they're doing the inbound calls, the appointments, that one?
Yeah. So we expect to fully be engaged with that when that becomes available to us. So we'll see what happens. But these large language models, the LLMs, I mean, they're still learning, right?
Yes.
So I think the very, very basic rudimentary stuff, most of them have it down pat. But I've found that in most of my interactions with AI tools, whether it be in demos of these products or mystery shopping other dealers, they claim they don't get tripped up, but they tend to get tripped up pretty quick. And I think there's a fine line there, or a balancing act, if you will, that all dealers need to consider when it comes to their customer service, delivery. do they want to position themselves to be reliant upon an AI tool that could get tripped up and frustrate a customer? Or is it better to take more of a crawl, walk, run approach where you're maybe relying upon AI to handle that initial communication? Yeah. And then once that connection is established or is facilitated, then you've got to have a human being in the background ready to jump in. And that's kind of the approach that I've adopted. And that's what we're doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it sounds like it's still relatively new. I mean, I think that we've seen a lot of AI in the sales departments for follow-up, for chats, for things like this, igniting dead ghosts, re-engaging people, which I'm a total fan of, because you want your humans to be, 100% versus, run down in exhaustion from fatigue.
We want our people managing. We want our people managing connections. We want our people managing communication. I don't see the value. I don't see the value of, I've operated BDCs for a number of years, almost 20 years, right? I don't see the value anymore. It used to be, a good BDR is going to manage 125 calls a day. That's make or take 125 calls a day, right? And let's just say it's an agent that's purely responsible for outbound calling. I don't really see the value anymore in today's world of paying someone, whatever, pick a number, $18 an hour to sit in a room and leave voicemails.
I agree.
Okay? I don't see the value. Okay. So can AI do that type of proactive outreach for us? And once a connection, if and when that connection is facilitated, let's get it to a person.
Exactly.
And that's been my approach with it.
Yeah. Just curious, what company are you using? Would you feel comfortable sharing names? I'm just curious, who was working that moment right there for you that you would recommend?
We use Matador, a company called Matador.
I do too. I love Matador.
Yeah. So
okay.
That's what we're using right now on the sales side.
Yep. That's what I recommend. I like their product the best for that moment.
Yeah. We're also a company I'm pretty excited about that we're using now too. I'm a big believer in mystery shopping, for quality control, right? And we use a company called Leadvantage that uses AI to mystery shop our stores, and it's great. They're mystery shopping for not only sales interactions, but also people that are looking to sell their vehicle, stuff like that. So, but the AI that they're using that actually is engaging with our people, it's not just box checking. It's they're looking at the dialogue. They're looking at qualitative information just as much as, if not more than, quantitative information. So I think that, stuff like that gives us an opportunity to deploy AI to our benefit.
Agreed. So, what you're talking about there, because Woody and I, who is the founder of Leadvantage, him and I have been working on a product, really dialed into efficiencies as well. And I met him through this product, which I have to say is really, it's the best I've seen. And just very quick, you were talking about, so for me, it's voice AI, which we have seen with some of the inbound calls for service and setting appointments. I don't always think that we see it for mystery shopping and being able to load up your expectations. And now a voice AI is actually performing the mystery shop as a human, and it's highly engaging and very real lifelike.
Correct. No, it's good. So, those are two instances where we're using some AI. I have Call Review as my phone system.
I love Call Review.
And we're dabbling a little bit with PAM, which is their AI inbound service appointment. We haven't deployed it yet, but I fully anticipate deploying it in some way, shape, or form. Either that or a company like that. There's a couple other ones out there that I find intriguing. It's really, again, boils down to quality just as not much, if not more than quantity. But I think there's opportunities there as the technology is evolving and getting better. So I'm just reluctant to be the first guy in the pool on this one. I'm usually the first guy in the pool, right? But some of this stuff I'm just a little reluctant on.
Yeah, I hear you. And I'm actually curious, when it comes going back to your service advisors and looking at for efficiencies, have you seen anything look, Matador pops for me as well for sales. Right. Is there anything that's like that you've experimented with that you're like, you know what, this is creating an efficiency for our advisors? Because I don't see a lot of stuff like that yet.
Not yet. I will say that that Techion's AI tool has promised to help us out with that. We are using the other thing that Techion's tool is promising to deliver for us, which I find hugely important and time saving and valuable, is using basically AI to write the 3 C's on a repair order. Right now there's a company out there called Pencil Wrench, for example, that we use in some of our stores, particularly on warranty jobs, just because we're looking for compliance and adherence with manufacturer standards for warranty submissions and things like that. And tools like Pencil Wrench that obviously have a technology component that helps to protect us and make sure that we're doing things efficiently and properly. Again, there's value there. So, to have a technician sit there and type something out, is that the most useful way for them to spend their time? I don't think so. I think I agree. Turning wrenches.
Yeah, I love this. Things are very new, very infancy, and I see you dabbling in there. I have to go back. And lastly, you're just, I really enjoy this conversation. These are all the things I'm just like so dialed into, and I want to keep my eyes wide open too. And you're a forward thinker. In thinking about your service BDC, I got to tell you, some of the things that I've experienced in working with dealers is a lot of times this is the pain point for them. I've seen people call service BDC and mean something very differently from store to store. Like, for example, some people will say, yeah, we have a service BDC, Jen, and they do inbound call appointments, and they do, no-shows, missed appointments, those phone calls. That's their service BDC. I tend to work with high-performing organizations where this is, whoa, it's not that. It's like, it's declined work. It is recalls, special order parts. This is maintenance. This hasn't been in the service department in 6 months. This is first oil change. There's just a whole gamut of work that has to be done in order to stay connected with customers. I also find they struggle with, so that's the initiative. It's what is our goal, and what should this department be about? And you ignited it by saying, it's really about helping our advisors free up some of their time so they could be more customer facing and be able to write more tickets. And so in thinking about that service BDC, have there been some challenges, some pain points for you? People will always say to me too, it's hard to find a person that can manage this department. And sometimes I meet these people and they don't even take TOs. They don't even get on phone calls. How do you train it if you don't know how to do it? So I think there's a lot to unpack in this department, but tell me, what have you struggled with? What have you solved? Tell me how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have the same challenges that everybody has with staffing and with turnover. Fortunately, we have strong leadership, so in a lot of instances, we have service BDC people that have gone on to be service advisors, service managers, things like that.
I love
so there's, we're always looking at, we're always looking at ways to grow and develop people, right? But we have 10 BDRs in our service BDC that support our 5 stores, right? And I definitely envision a day though where if you look at the totality of what that department is responsible for, what is arguably the most rudimentary, for lack of a better word, consistent task that they perform, it's handling an inbound phone call for an appointment, right? I think that's probably the area that is most ripe for disruption by an AI tool.
I agree.
Specifically for that reason, because it is the most rudimentary, it's the most straightforward, and it's the most consistent, right?
Yes.
But when you're talking about outbound business development,
yes,
where there's any number of factors, the myriad of factors that can contribute to the nature of the call that they will make, that's where there's more specialization and more training involved, and that's where a good quality BDR that speaks well, that's articulate, certainly bilingual is big in our area.
Big time.
Things along those lines. That's very important. So I would like to eventually see us investing in less people, more specialized. Okay, most likely higher compensated as a result. And take the burden of having to worry about the inbound calls off of their plate, because again, they tend to be more straightforward. I think that's the direction this thing's going to go. We're not there yet, but you and I talk in probably 12 to 24 months. I think it's going to be a dramatically different story.
Let me ask you something. This is just me and you.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you very quickly. I've been working on, my specialty has been phone calls.
Sure.
And I do service BDC, I do sales BDC, I do salespeople, service advisors. Everybody has to make phone calls in order to make this machine work.
Yeah.
But the inconsistency has been problematic, on a consistent basis.
Right.
And so one of the things that I've been playing around with over the last year has been outbound calls.
Sure.
To service customers, and seeing that transform. Now, I don't have anything yet, but what are your thoughts on so again, it's just like the inbound calls, but now you see that there's a separate pool here. Inbound, rudimentary, relatively straightforward. Outbound, boy, there's a lot of pockets here.
Yeah.
Do you see that as something where we shift into the world of AI and being able to get results more efficiently through maybe an AI system?
Yeah, and I the answer to that question is yes, and here's why. If you look at the biggest pain point in the job of your average BDR, right?
Yeah.
The problem with that position historically has been there's a lot of redundancy. It's a lot of outbound calling.
Exactly.
It's a lot of cold calling. It's a lot of, lack of connection.
Voicemails.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how can we get technology to the point? And again, AI is the most likely culprit here in the technology world. How can we get AI to do that burdensome, heavy lifting of trying to facilitate a connection with a customer? And then once it happens, get it to a live person as soon as possible. Mm. I think that would make their job a lot more enjoyable. I think they would be more successful. And I think they would be more sticky, if you will, and inclined to, stick with the position. So those are the questions that I think the people in the technology space have got to help us answer. And they're working on it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's the same thing for the sales department. I work with a lot of sales BDC, and you watch these people burn out so hard. You've got to have great leadership in both of these departments to keep the momentum and to keep the excitement. It's a new customer every, 2.5 minutes. And, it's a lot of heat, and a lot of slamming doors in your face. And it's tough on a person's mental health, if you don't have the right combination of people, camaraderie, leadership, process, incentives, pay plans, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I see that there's a lot of heavy lifting that is, it's detrimental to our frontline, our humans that could be better used to make more face-to-face contacts and have more real conversations instead of, pinging voicemails and emails that don't get answered and texts that go unanswered. And it's just, that's a heavy burdensome for a lot of people today that make up the brand, that actually are the identity of the brand.
That's right. So, that's where I think we're really ripe for disruption in that aspect of our business. And I'm hopeful that technology is going to help figure that out, because that's the hardest part. I think if we could solve for that problem, it would really go a long way towards promoting much higher levels of retention in that position. Yeah. And frankly, I think it will serve to attract more people to it, because they won't have to deal with just that constant sense of rejection or just monotony.
It's waiting.
Oh yeah.
It's exhausting.
I get it.
Yeah, well, look, we hit on so many fun things today, and I just really enjoyed this conversation. I thank you for being so upfront and transparent and just willing to share.
Sure.
We're all struggling through the same things. We want to future-proof these dealerships. All of us have to be thinking about what's down the road, and we want to get ahead of it. Our more progressive minds out there, are going to start tackling new technologies and things that could be even seen as uncomfortable. And so I just really love your mindset, and we align on so many things. I knew we would. Thank you so much, Andy, for sharing today. Thanks for joining.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
If you like these episodes and my sales game techniques, you should snatch up our latest dealer education program I'm hosting. It's called Jen's Remote Classes, and it's a 1-hour, once-a-week class with me alongside other dealerships, all pursuing the same end game to achieve top 10% status in your dealership. For more info, hit me up. All my contact info's in the show notes. I want to hear from you. And follow Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki right now to get notified when episodes like this one drop. This is Jen on the podcast Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. See ya!